Parents abandon their child. Later on, he takes a decision that shocked everybody. Hello friends! When we think about our families, the first thing that comes across our minds is safety. Families always presented the shelter to which we resort when things go the wrong way. Family's the source of security and unconditional love and support. But what if the people who are supposed to be your family are the ones to abandon us and leave us to fend for ourselves? How would you react to such a cruel reality? Today's story is about a young boy who found himself in a similar situation and ended up taking decisions that shocked his parents. But before we start, make sure to subscribe if you haven't and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any new stories. The story took place in the mid-1990s, where a boy named Roman was born in a small town called Risti in northern Estonia. Roman's parents had drug and alcohol issues that led their lives into an ever-growing downward spiral. Struggling with their addiction and their inability to keep any job, the couple accumulated huge debts as they couldn't pay the rent and their pile of bills. When Roman was 2 years old, his parents decided to leave the town and run from their debts and issues. While doing so, the couple also left little Roman behind them. Luckily for the little boy, Roman's mother notified her mother, who lived nearby, about what they were doing. And when the grandmother went to the apartment to retrieve her grandson, she found him alone, scared, dirty, and crying. Roman's mother simply asked for the boy to be put into the care of a local orphanage or any organization that would accept taking care of him. Yet the grandmother couldn't do that, so she decided to keep the boy, hoping his parents would come back to take him again. As the grandmother was packing Roman's clothes to take him back home with her, the landlord stepped into the apartment to give her one more shocking news. Apparently, her daughter and son-in-law had months of unpaid rents and electricity bills, and the landlord was planning to file suit against the fleeing couple. Feeling bad for them, the grandmother asked the landlord not to do so and offered to pay the rent for the power bills herself. The old woman, who lived on a meager pension that barely covered her personal expenses, used all her savings to pay the debts. Little Roman moved in with his grandmother, where he lived happily as the loving woman did all she could to keep the little boy well-fed and dressed. At the same time, the little boy filled her solitude that lasted for years and made her days happier. Yet, having an extra person aboard meant that the grandmother's expenses rose as she had to pay for Roman's food, clothes, school expenses, and daycare. In order to earn extra money, the old woman went to the fields to work every single day to earn some extra money. Despite their daily struggles, the grandmother and her grandson lived happily until the day Roman's parents showed up at their house. The grandmother was excited, thinking that they came back to take Roman, or at least move near them so that the boy got to spend time with them. Yet to her disappointment, they wanted nothing to do with the boy, suggesting that she should have sent him to an orphanage instead. All the couple wanted was some money from the old woman, saying that they would pay it back to her soon. The woman was saddened by what they said, but she loved her daughter nonetheless, and so she gave them the money and watched them leave her house as soon as they got what they wanted. Days went by and the couple didn't show up again, and so the grandmother and her little grandson resumed their lives again as usual. Once again, a few months later, the couple showed up again, yet not to pay back the money as you would expect, but to ask for more money, as they claimed to be going through hard times. By then, the old woman knew that all they wanted was her money that they would never pay back, but still her love for her daughter was so big, she gave them whatever savings she had. After that, the couple disappeared for years with no news about them. In the meantime, Roman and his grandmother resumed their life as usual. The years passed by and the little kid got older. Roman was a brilliant kid who excelled at school, getting the best grades and standing out amongst his peers. He became a teenager and kept working hard at school, trying to show his grandmother that all the hard work she was doing to support him wasn't in vain. Yet, as you might have expected, Roman's father showed up at their house again for the same reason, asking for money. Yet this time he claimed that it was for his wife, Roman's mother, who according to him was hospitalized because she had pneumonia and the medicines were so expensive. Roman's grandmother was devastated to hear the news about her daughter and rushed to her closet, grabbing all the money she'd been saving and giving it to her son-in-law, who, without even properly thanking her, left the home shortly after that. The old woman spent a sleepless night thinking about her only daughter, and in the morning she took Roman and headed to the hospital that was at the city. After a couple hours on the bus, the old lady with her grandson arrived at the hospital and directly made their way towards the reception area, where they asked about the room in which Roman's mother was hospitalized. The lady at the reception asked about the patient's information, and after checking her computer, said to Roman and his grandmother that the woman they were looking for was admitted into the hospital a couple of days ago after being found unconscious in the streets. And after detoxification, the police came and took her into custody, and her only way out of that was through a bail that her husband was asked to pay. And that's where the old lady realized what was going on. It was just another scam by her daughter and son-in-law to extract more money out of her. The old woman cried, not because of the money she lost, but because the cruel way her only daughter treated her. Roman's grandmother felt guilty and blamed herself for everything, believing that she failed to raise a decent woman and she was paying for that. Throughout all of that, Roman kept doing his best to make his grandmother happy, as he fully knew all the hardships she was going through and how she was continuously hurt by his parents. The old lady fell into depression and nothing helped. Roman got accepted at the university and she was genuinely happy for him, yet her sadness was deeper than anything. The old lady's health deteriorated quickly, and then she was hospitalized for a while before passing away. The death of the only woman he called family was a shock for Roman, who couldn't believe that once again he was all on his own in this world. He tearfully accompanied his grandmother to her last resting place, accompanied by few neighbors and friends. Well, his parents didn't attend the funeral, though he made sure some relatives told them about the death of his grandmother. In order to honor the memory of the loving old lady, Roman studied hard at the university, and after a couple of years he graduated as an architect. The young man founded his own business and distinguished himself. His hard work translated into a booming business that made him a wealthy man. Yet the money and success never changed Roman, as he always remembered his origins and kept true to the values his grandmother taught him. Roman was known for his humility and helping the poor. As nothing remains a secret, the news of Roman's success reached his parents, and his father rushed to the house to ask him for some money. When he arrived at the gate of Roman's house, Roman's father was stopped by a security guard who asked him what he wanted, and the angry man immediately demanded to be let in to meet his son. Yet the security guard refused to heed any of that and asked him for his names and the exact reason why they wanted to see Roman. At that moment, Roman's father said that his wife was so ill and she needed an urgent surgery, and so they needed money to pay for it. The security guard called his boss and told him that a man was at the door claiming to be his father and wanted to see him to ask for money. Roman heard those words and felt blood boiling in his vein as he remembered his grandmother and how much she suffered, how she selflessly gave his parents everything she had and they still took full advantage of that and broke her heart, how they used the old woman who had nothing but love and compassion for them. He also remembered how they abandoned him without hesitation. At that moment, Roman asked the security guard to put him on the speaker. Then he said, "Tell him that the only family I had was my grandmother, who I buried years ago. I had parents who abandoned me, and that's still the case. So the person is lying, and I have nothing to give him. So dismiss him right now and ask him to never come to my house again." Roman's father stood there listening to what his son was saying. Dumbfounded by the response he got, he turned around and walked away without saying a word. He walked all the way to the hospital, where he entered a room and sat beside his wife, who was struggling to stay alive after her liver was completely damaged by alcohol. For once, Roman's father was saying the truth, and Roman's mother was terminally ill and in an urgent need for a surgery. But the couple lied too many times that the day they said the truth, no one believed them. And they always wanted to live alone and cared about nobody but themselves. But no one is there to help them now. As kids, they failed miserably by taking advantage of the only woman who truly cared about them. And as parents, they failed even worse by turning their son into a complete stranger. Life is a full circle, and at the end, you pay for what you do one way or another. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and tell us what you think about it in the comment section below.